Part 1. You will hear someone talking about the development of the telephone. For questions 1 to 10, fill in the missing information.
Welcome, everybody, to our monthly meeting. I know you've all been looking forward to the chance to hear tonight's guest speaker, Tom Wilkinson, who's going to talk to us about the history of telephones. So, without more ado, Tom Wilkinson.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me great pleasure to be here tonight to talk about a subject that has fascinated me for many years, the telephone and how it works. These days, when you dial a friend in Australia, it's easy to take the whole thing for granted. After a few clicks and whirs, you're through. Thousands of miles vanish in an instant. It's so easy. But anyone over 50 will remember a time when it could take hours to phone a friend just a few hundred miles away. In fact, if we take a brief look at the development of the phone system, we'll find that not much changed at all between 1880 and 1950. In 1880, when the first brass and mahogany phone arrived, it cost £45, the equivalent of a year's wages for the average working man. In those far-off days, the airwaves were virtually silent. There were no exchanges in Britain, and most of the telephones in use were installed in large country houses, so the wealthy could talk to their servants and each other. By the 1920s, there were manual exchanges in towns and cities up and down the country. The cost of telephones had come down considerably, and far more of us were installing the new wonder instrument. But by 1930, there were still only a few experimental automatic exchanges. This meant that all calls had to go through an operator. When you picked up the receiver, the operator was automatically alerted at the exchange. Basically, a little flap dropped on her switchboard, or a light came on, and she knew you wanted to use the phone. With the magnetotelephone, the only alternative to the standard model, you cranked a handle on the side of the phone to alert the operator, who then rang you to ask what number you wanted. The system then, and it lasted into the 1970s in some areas, was that the operator would decide how to route your call. She would contact the next exchange on your route, and the operator at that exchange would either connect you or hand you on to what could turn out to be the first in a whole series of operators, depending on how far your call had to go. And if one of the exchanges on the way happened to be engaged, you simply had to wait until it cleared. Incredibly, the last manual exchange was still operating in Abingdon, Oxfordshire, as late as 1975. People in the area still had phones without dials, and all their calls had to be put through manually by the operator. How things have changed. Today, a lightning-fast digital system works out how to route your call in a split second, and a call from London to Oxford may go via Edinburgh if all the more direct routes are engaged. Such is the speed of modern technology that we notice no delay. In an emergency, the old system was horribly slow and not always reliable. But there was something rather grand about the stately progress of a call that could only be achieved through the skills of a series of individual operators, devoting their energies to keeping you in touch.
Part 2. You will hear an answer phone message announcing details of rail and steam attractions at the weekend. For questions 11 to 20, complete the information sheet according to the information you hear.
Thank you for calling the special information line with details of special rail and steam attractions this August weekend. We've got 3 attractions to tell you about at Swanley, Fairbourne and Matlock. Attraction number 1 is the Central Railway at Swanley. Step back in time on this steam railway that will take you on an hour's trip through unspoilt countryside. Especially recommended for children over 5, who will enjoy the chance, after the train ride, to visit the engine sheds and see the old steam trains collected here from different parts of the country. How did telegraph systems work? Here's your opportunity to find out in the working recreation of a telegraph office, where visitors can operate the equipment. And there's a post office, where the kids can help sort the parcels as they come off the train in the delivery area. Sundays only, 10 to 6. Adults £5, children £2.50. The second attraction is the Fairbourne Connection, a narrow-gauge railway that runs for 10 miles along the seashore, passing through stations over 100 years old, 2 of which have recently been restored to their former glory. Many visitors are tempted to take the short ferry connection across the bay to Henderson Island, where they can visit a village built in Italian style. There's an open-air restaurant and gardens to enjoy. 1 train only per day at 10:45 from Fairbourne Station. Adults £7.50, children free. What do you know about trams? Our third suggestion for steam enthusiasts is a trip to a tramway museum at Matlock, where there's a collection of restored horse-drawn, steam and electric trams. All rides are free once you've paid the entrance fee, and you can have as many rides as you like. This weekend is a special teddy bear weekend, and any child bringing an adult and a teddy will be allowed in free. The route covers a 1-mile scenic track, and if the weather's not up to much, there are models to play with and a video to watch on the history of the tram. Entrance fee £6.50 per adult, £2 for accompanying children.